I know this thing is on, and I know that you can hear me. Nursing and healthcare needs advocates and activism. So what are you waiting for? Let's do the damn thing.
And welcome to The Gritty Nurse, a podcast. I'm your host, Amie Archibald-Varley, and today's interview is going to be a little bit different. Different because I'm being interviewed, which is a little bit weird. For an opening episode, because I think it's actually good to talk about transitions. And I think, in all of our life, we go through transitions. But before I get into anything else, I have to introduce our excellent guest host today. It is none other than the amazing, newly RN, Matthew Shepard. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, congrats to you.
Thank you very much. Congrats to you.
Thank you. Look at this place.
Right? These lights.
You.
Where'd they come from?
The lights. No, okay, maybe not. I'll take that out because canceled. But yeah, no, it's great to be in a new space, to have to be doing something different. So I'm just happy to be here and have these conversations and talk about transitions, because I think in nursing we're really bad with change, and I think it's good to talk about how do we move from one place to another place. And I think it's okay to change. And like I said, this is a little bit different. So you're interviewing me, so I'm a little bit nervous, maybe not so nervous, but kind of wondering what kind of questions that you have for me. Maybe there's other questions. Maybe you have questions that other people have. So let's hit it off. What do you have a question for me, Matt?
Well, firstly, how are you? How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel like I'm in a really good place. And I think that, time is one of those things that maybe I should be like Mariah Carey. I don't believe in time. It's just whatever needs to happen has happened. And I think that's important, that when things happen, we continue to move forward. And I think for a while there, I was kind of in my head about a lot of things. I was really doubting whether I should continue a podcast, knowing I wanted to do something new. So again, I still have Atypical Podcast with Jordan. And that one's more of a mental health podcast where we're talking about, navigating life's uncertainties, because again, there's just been so much change. My dad recently was diagnosed with cancer and was going through chemotherapy, and he was pretty much living with me because the treatment's so intensive. And then we got good news, or relatively good news, that he is in remission. Again, it is a very aggressive form of cancer, but just, celebrating that in the moment that, he is in remission. And just the fact that, just there's been flux. So the Gritty Nurse podcast had stopped. And I just kind of was in this place, do I need to continue with this? I don't want to go back to it. I felt I wasn't ready to go back to it either. I felt like maybe that space didn't need me, or my voice wasn't as effective as it used to be. Because again, the whole point of starting that podcast was to talk about all the hot button issues. So to call things out as we saw them, and also was to be, that voice that nurses have in the back of their minds, and they want to say it, but they don't. And because they're afraid of pushing the envelope, which I never was.
Girl, what's that voice and what's it saying?
That voice is saying it's time to come back. That's what that voice is saying. That voice is you know what?
Period.
You took your time of rest. You're well rested. Now it's time to chop some shit up. We have some things to talk about. And I'm so excited to be back, to be hosting The Gritty Nurse. And I think that, transitions are beautiful. I think I'm thankful for the time that, over the past 5 years, it was a good run, but now it's time to run with something new. And although the name may sound similar, I always believed that I was always a gritty nurse, and I will always forever be a gritty nurse. So that's why it is The Gritty Nurse.
I feel that. That's empowering. I love that.
And I think, I don't think that name also belongs just to me. I think anybody who holds space for other people, who want to make changes, who see that the system can be better. I think that's the other piece. We look at healthcare, and, it does need to change. It needs to evolve in a variety of different ways. And I think anybody in that space who's I want to see change, I'm going to push for change. Maybe I won't be at the forefront. Maybe it'll look different for me. That is still gritty. And I think that's important. Yes. And I think that could be anybody. So I did a little post, and I was I hope that people will maybe throw some questions at me. And I called them my gritties, my pretties. So everybody's my gritties. Come on, let's hear what needs to be said. So share something with me, right?
Oh my God. I want to be your number one gritty.
Give me my gritties. We're all gritties.
It's forever. So that's so cute. Okay, I'm so glad to hear that you're in this place because you're right. Like you were in a bit of a limbo state,
Yeah.
and as you said, like you were just kind of figuring out what you wanted and who Amie was going to be at this time, and you were transitioning, and you know you did it well. You did it well, and you came out of this looking and feeling on top because you are glowing. Damn, like you're
It's,
in this new space.
it's
You're
the
on
lights.
air,
It's the great
girl.
lighting.
Lights. But good. I'm so glad to hear this.
Yeah, and yeah, go ahead.
No, I actually just lost my train of thought because I was listening to you.
Yeah, well, all I
um,
was going to say is like again, just with transitions, I think that one of the biggest things that I had to learn was to accept that change is always going to be inevitable. It might not feel good,
100%.
and you can like wallow in your shit for a little bit and just be like, oh, this sucks, and that's okay. But you can't stay there, right? Like I think it's just like, okay, have your moment, and then you're just like, all right, it's time to put my big boy pants on, my big girl pants on, my whatever pants on, and move on, because again, the world doesn't stop for you. It's not going to stop. And there's things that I need to do, and there's things that I want to do. So I got to keep going. And I think that, I'm excited with new things that are coming. I can't put all the spoilers out, but I know that there's some good things coming to the Gritty Nurse, and I'm looking forward.
Coming.
Trust me, some good things are coming, and I'm looking forward to being on that journey and bringing everybody else along on that journey, because again, the whole point of this, and I'm going to say this over and over again, is to build community. It's not just about me. It's about like, find other people being able to find their voice, find that space where they feel empowered to do something and make change in their lives as well, and to be creative, because again, the next piece is like, I'm saying it now. It's on the record. Trying to get to the Oscars in 5 years. I don't know what'll happen. I don't know if I will be, presenting a film. Maybe I'm just going to be invited, but that's the plan. That is the plan. We will go.
We're going to get there
in our ballroom dresses. And we will go. We're going to take up some space. Be like, we're nurses here. We need to take up a lot of space. We need to take up the room. But show out. Because again, we're not seen in those spaces, but we're going to be there. We're going to get there. We're going to get there together.
Okay. One thing that I do love is I love that this whole talk on transitioning and change, because like you had just said, like change and transitions in nursing are not it. We don't like it because it's so much easier to go about your day and about your career, just minimizing the BS.
Yeah, and just moving along, status quo.
Yeah, like we always say in the operating room, routine surgery is safe surgery, and typically it is.
Right.
But
we want that to be routine. Yeah.
Yes. When something changes and shit hits the fan, it's never a good time. But change is often growth.
Right.
And growth is something that we all need to do. Yeah. And unfortunately, growth can be painful, and growth can be lost, and growth can be gained. Right. And it sounds like to me there's going to be quite a few gains coming your way with Gritty.
Yeah, there are. And I mean, I think growth looks different for different people, right? Like I saw like a really beautiful thing on social media where it was like a plant. So there were like 3 different versions of the plant. So there was one plant that it was sprouting new leaves, and it's like, this is growth. Yeah. And then there was another one where it had huge, big fawning leaves, and it's like, this is growth too. And then the last picture was the one that I thought was the most powerful. It had 3 just budding leaves, but underneath it was like a fiery, all of the roots just all the way down to the ground. And it's like, that is also growth. And I was just like, feeling rooted is growth too. And I feel rooted. Like I feel like I know where my places need to be, and it may not all be showing at the surface, but like it's coming. And when you plant your roots and you have them deep down, and you know who you are as a person, you know that there is nowhere else to go but up. And I'm sorry, maybe that sounds too like 100%. Cheesy, but I just feel like there is no place else now but up.
It honestly, if it sounds cheesy or corny to people, that's on them, because the reality is there is nowhere else to go but up. When you've rooted yourself, when you have that foundation, when you have that support, you can keep moving upwards, and you can keep bettering yourself. And I mean, like, yes, of course, you're going to hit hurdles. But ain't no hurdle gonna stop you. Ain't
Well,
no
the thing
hurdle gonna stop you, girl.
No, well, that's the thing. It might slow me down because I think the other thing is to recognize
Just
that,
your
like,
needs.
yes, of course, there's going to be hurdles. There's going to be change. There's going to be things that come in that I'm like, is this for me? Is this not for me? And it's okay to slow down. It's okay to sometimes speed up. It's okay to be like, okay, I feel like I'm stuck. But it's always,
Yeah.
I think the most important part is to continue moving, right? Like I said, although I was kind of like, I'll be honest, I was hurt when the whole thing kind of ended, right? I was just kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, it was such an important piece of work, like body of work, right? And I kept on going back to the reason why it was started. But then I had to think about like all of the other things that kind of came with it, and knowing that it had to be done with. It had to be done with in that type of fashion. And again, like I felt like I need to stop. I was just like, no, I don't need to do it. I don't need I couldn't really find my footing. I was explaining to Jordan, I'm just like, there's something missing. Like I'm doing this atypical podcast. I'm happy to, talk about mental health and essentially transitions, but I'm like, something is missing. And I'm seeing the stuff about like, nursing and healthcare. I'm seeing the stories. I'm seeing some really tragic stuff. I'm seeing some really positive stuff. And I'm like, I want to talk about this. Like, wait, I can talk about it. Why am
Yes,
I
you
not
can.
talking about it? So I was just like, it just was, the time was right. And I think that, again, although you may think that you stopped, you have to just continue to find those paces, those steps in front of you, and allow yourself to be like, it's time to move on. And it's time to move on in a different way, and kind of give yourself that grace. Like, you kind of beat up on yourself a little bit, but then it's like, okay, I gotta move. Like I can't stay here. And I think that was the biggest feeling. And then the other piece, I'll be honest, I got a lot of support. So people were just like pouring into my messages, DMs, and just saying like, hey, we still miss you. We love your voice. We love hearing what you have to say. We love how your voice builds community. And that was encouraging. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should continue doing this. And again, I think at the end of the day, it has to be about that individual. So it had to be about me and saying like, is this what I wanted to do? And when I kind of put all of the different things together, the timing, is it right? Hearing lots of feedback from other people being like, don't stop, girl. Like you gotta keep. And I was just like, they're right. I feel it too. I feel the energy. That's kind of, it felt like it was like a groundswell. And you can't ignore those things. You can't ignore when you have that intuition. And I think nurses we have great intuition. We know when shit's going wrong. We're like, that monitor hasn't beeped, but I know it's going to beep. I've been doing my daily assessments. I've been doing my head to toes. And I know that patient is about, we just like get to the foot of the door. They're like, we're like, we knew, right? So we got to lean on that intuition. And it was just telling me, it was like, Amie, it's time. It's time to do this. And I think that, people have asked me, they're like, is it going to be the same format? Is it going to be the same things? Of course, we're going to talk about the same things, but I mean, there's so much change, and I think there's so much more that I want to bring to the show that, of course, invariably things will creep in, and I think that's good. And I think that I want to really lift those voices who are continuing to lift other voices. Like I know there's lots of influencers out there. There's lots of big names that I have on the podcast, but I don't think, and I'm not saying that I won't, but I don't think that's going to be my sole focus. I want to hear those stories that have been untold. I mean, you can go on, a large influencer story and you could scroll through the page and their life story essentially because they put it all 100%. Out. But there's stories out there that haven't been told. And I think those are the stories that I really want to focus on too.
I love that. There are so many stories that have not been told in the nursing sphere that are either beautiful or terrifying or uplifting or interesting. There are so many things that I hear as a nurse that I'm just like, wow, like that happened and you got through that. And even like my own stuff, the stuff that I've gone through. I mean, I've been nursing for like 16 years now.
That's wild. I can't believe it.
Wild. And 10 years into my career, I went back to school to get my degree, and the world fell apart while I was doing that. My world fell apart. It was insane. And I'm so glad that I got through that. And I got through that and I had to go through a transition.
Yeah, well, let's flip the script a little bit. Let me ask you, like, I mean, like you said, it was wild. I don't think anybody was expecting a pandemic, right?
No.
And anybody who was in, and I think, I'm going to say this, nurses got it the worst. Anybody who was in nursing
Yeah.
school or nursing during the time of the pandemic, and I'm not saying that physicians had it bad, but they had their own platform that they can tell their own stories right now. I'm talking about nurses. Sorry. A little bit of a grape there.
Sorry.
Anyhow,
Not sorry at all.
I think that, nurses had it really rough, and particularly nurses in nursing school. Like, how was that for you? Because I know we kind of talked a little bit, but I mean, I think there was trauma there because it's like you're writing exams away from like having patient experience. You're getting it in a different way. The whole world changed. So how did you deal with that transition?
Well, one thing that I want to say is like, God bless the professors and the staff there at the schools that were teaching the nurses, because the way that they had to move when everything transitioned onto online, and then trying to figure out how they were going to teach these methods because of the COVID restrictions, they did it so quickly.
Right.
And even though a lot of the times they didn't have the answers, they still did their best to guide us into the most productive ways possible.
Right,
and it wasn't easy, but they did well. So kudos to you guys.
Yes, kudos.
It was, for me, my experience was traumatic. It was terrible. Like, as you know, my mom passed away.
Yep.
Just before COVID, just months before the lockdowns happened. So my heart was already broken. And then I watched the world just flip on its back.
Right.
And it was insane. Going from the traditional in-class model to online was not that easy, but after a while I got used to it. Right. I did not mind waking up and rolling out of bed and going right onto my computer. But I feel like it did take away from a lot of the experiences that nursing students typically have, because nursing is it's a close culture. Like we work really close and intimate with people. We work close and intimate with our colleagues. Right. So to not be in those spaces with them was a little bit weird. Right. But we did have quite a few opportunities to do lab with actors or with dummies or with other students. And that was a very interesting way to learn. But I do understand with all of the restrictions in play, they tried to make it fun and interesting. So that's why they hired actors and they brought them in. It's crazy. But yeah, it was traumatic as hell. I do not want to go back to school, but I am because I have my own goals and my own dreams, and it's going to happen. But girl, we survived. We survived a pandemic and we made it through to the other side. And I feel 10 times better now than I did back then. Right. I'm way in such a better place. I'm working as an RN. Like, I took some time off as well after I graduated, as you know, before I did my NCLEX exam. Right. And I continued to work as an RPN for about a year and a half. And then I did my exam, which honestly is not as bad as a lot of people probably think it is. It wasn't easy, but it was a very long exam. It just wasn't like as hard as I thought it was.
Right.
But yeah, in less than 24 hours, I got those results back, and boom, here he is.
RPN to RN.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, what a journey. And it was a long journey too. Like, I mean, I think that you should really be proud of yourself, man. Like, I'm super proud of you. Like, I think
thank you.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, it was such a hard time in your life. And again, like, I was there helping you navigate. And I think that, it's hard going through all of those different transitions, starting school, losing a parent, having to deal with like all of the grief that kind of comes with all of that, and then being in a pandemic with all of those additional things, and all
working as a nurse at the time as well. And then just, like you didn't mention this, but your brother got sick, and that was a whole journey too. And it's just like so much thrown at you, but here you are today as an RN, doing the thing, doing all the things. Like, I mean, you're like traveling, doing this, doing that, but like I'm so proud of you. And again, I'm just like, like, what's next for Matthew? And I know I heard you say it. Are you gonna do it? You did. I'm going to do it. I have to do it. I have to do it. I have FOMO.
Let me
and a
hear
lot of
it.
my friends. I need
to hear you say it. So then I'm going to hold you to it. What's happening next?
I'm going to get my master's.
Yes. Yay.
I am.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to drag you into this crazy world.
Oh my God.
you know that I just drag you along, right? So Matthew, you're going to be doing your master's degree, which is amazing. And you said you have FOMO?
Because most of my friends have their masters, and I refuse to be left out. Like, no, we're not
Right.
doing that. I'm going to be there with you. So,
Yes.
that it opens up doors, right? You know, my degree opened up doors. I know my masters will open up doors. So why not? Why not take that leap? But one thing that I did want to circle back to, you made this point about how, like, you know, basically what you were saying is like you said we need to give ourselves grace,
Right.
and nurses need to give themselves grace,
Right.
and the way that I love to say that is we need to be gentle with ourselves, and I think that that's what you were doing. That's what I was
Right.
doing when I had finished school. That's what you were doing this past summer. You were being gentle with yourself, and I think
Right.
that that's something that a lot of us tend to forget, especially in healthcare, in life in general. Like, I'm not a parent, but I have a lot of friends who are parents around me, and I know that that's a hard job. And I
It
feel
is.
like parents need to be gentle with themselves. Nurses need to be gentle with themselves. Doctors need to be gentle with themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just I think that that's something that needs to be echoed and listened to a lot more, and we need to listen to ourselves and our bodies, and we do need to take those steps back and just tell and reflect.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. I think I think back to like my last year. It's like, yeah, I did just have a baby in my 40s. Like that's not an easy feat. Like I think between all of the different things that were happening, so like the book, having a baby, my dad diagnosis, it was just everything was just like too much. And I was just like, I'm glad that there's change, but now change is
Hmm.
here. So,
Yes.
with that, kicking off our first ever The Gritty Nurse podcast
Yeah.
episode. It's all about life's transitions, and it's okay. It's okay to see change. It's okay to celebrate what you had in the past, but it's also okay to celebrate what's coming. And I think that
Yeah.
we don't want to dwell. You don't want to sit there because whatever happened in the past is the past. You accept it and then you move on. Because again, I'm super excited. Like I'm telling you, Matthew, I'm telling you, there's some
Mm-hmm.
great stuff coming. Like great stuff coming. I'm so excited. And I
I
can't wait to
am
share that with
excited.
everybody else that's listening. And you know what? Thank you for staying with me and staying on the journey and being here and tuning in and showing up. I just want to say thank you to all of the nurses out there doing all of this hard work. And again, like I think that, we all work in nursing in our different ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's through advocacy, whether it's working in the community, whether it's working in a hospital, we all have our jobs to play. And I just want to thank everybody for doing their work and for tuning in. Cause again, this is the one thing I'll say, and it's true, and I've heard this time and time again. You can learn about nursing on the job, but you can't learn to be a nurse without having grit, and you
Yeah.
can't get it any place. You'll get it here on the Gritty Nurse podcast. This is that supplemental education that you didn't get in class. This is the one that's going to teach you how to not just be a nurse, but how to be a good person and how to navigate life's challenges and healthcare with some grit. Because we need to have tough shoulders. Like I think nurses are, or I should say, we tend to be seen as like angels and this. We're great. We're fluffy. All blah blah blah. But like we're badass too. And I think that
We
we need
are
to. I
100%.
need to see that pulled out of a lot more nurses, right? And the burnout is real. The violence is real. We got to talk about it because we need to get rid of it. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy that 2025. Here I am still being like, yeah, violence in nursing. It's a thing. We need to
Racism in nursing, it's a thing.
racism in nursing. It's a thing. Like
Yeah.
bullying in nursing.
It's a
It's a
thing.
thing,
These things need to
and
be
we
talked
need to
about.
change it. And we have to talk
Yes.
about it. And man, yeah, I'm still going to call out the administrators, the managers, the organizations, the bad
Hmm.
actors that are perpetuating and continuing to cause the violence, the burnout, the heartache, the pains, the failed patient safety.
Yeah.
the errors, the issues that we're continuing to have because of greed, selfishness, not wanting things to change. It's gonna happen. We're gonna talk about it right here.
And screw the
You gotta
bootlickers
say.
that stick up
You gotta
for them.
say. Where else are you gonna get this good information? Are you gonna get it from? No, I'm not gonna dance. So there's no dancing here. No square dancing here. Just
It's
real
great
talk.
dancing.
No square
And-
dancing. Sorry, you won't be seeing me do the late. Maybe you might catch me because of my kids, but that's a whole different thing. But yeah, no dancing here. Maybe a little bit of singing every once in a while. It's really bad, but you're gonna have to hear it. But it's all gonna be real talk and change. So, and you're not gonna trust me.
100%.
You're not gonna find it on any other nursing platform. Sorry.
No,
It's just
you
not
will
gonna
not,
happen.
because did Gritty Nurse not end up in my curriculum when I was in school? Did I not have to listen to your podcasts to pass
So you have
classes,
to
which was
listen to
amazing?
my podcast and then hear me rant. So
Basically,
sorry.
and then I'd just get on the phone with you afterwards and and we can have our own rant sessions. But yeah, no, like
100%.
the beauty of this podcast, and I'm so happy that you brought this back, because when you said that you were doing it, I was like, oh my god, there's so much here. There's so much content here if people who are just tuning in, you need to explore, and you'll have a lot of fun doing it.
100%.
So many
Yeah.
stories.
Thank you.
Yeah. The
Yes.
fact that you did end up in my curriculum, and not, you didn't just influence me. There's a generation of nurses out there now that listens to the Gritty Nurse podcast. And what's funny is, like, I just started a new job, and I was talking about your podcast, and one of the girls I work with was like, "Oh, I know that podcast." That's your cousin. I was like,
Well,
"Yeah, that's so dope."
That's wild. I always still find that wild, but at the end of the day, I hope that we'll have more listeners, and I expect that there will be some more people that might be tuning in. Maybe a couple thousand
I
more.
hope
Hopefully,
so.
we'll see.
I hope
We're gonna
so.
bump it up. We got to get more people to listen. But with that, I know it's late. Thank you for tuning in and listening to The Gritty Nurse. I will be here every other Thursday. I'll be here dropping episodes of the hot topics and issues of the week in healthcare, with the nursing focus, and also with the focus of being like, I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. No hold bar. Shit's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. We're going down.
And we
So-
need the raw information. So thank you for doing it.
Yeah, no, I'm ready, and I think it's been too long. It's been too,
Too long.
Drop
Stay
all the
tuned
links
for
and all the places you can find the Gritty Nurse. It's all the same place, actually. So that's just how that worked. Anyways, stay tuned, and thank you for listening to the Gritty Nurse with Amie Archibald-Varley. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Same grit time, same grit channel.
Yes! Oh my goodness.
Thank you so much for listening to The Gritty Nurse with Amie Archibald-Varley. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or any other podcast platform, please hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss out on any awesome episodes from The Gritty Nurse. Thank you so much, and stay tuned until next time. Stay gritty.